Deuteronomy chapter 6, beginning in verse 4, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thine heart, with all thy soul, with all thy might. And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart. Thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children. Shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, when thou walkest by the way, when thou liest down, when thou risest up. Thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thine hand. They shall be as frontlets between thine eyes. Thou shalt write them upon the posts of thy house and on thy gates. That's Deuteronomy 6, verse 4 through verse 9. Notice this is a foundational statement. Even to this day, the Jews, if they are religious in any way, they must make this confession. One Lord. If you'll notice carefully, the word Lord in the King James Version, the New King James Version, other versions, is capitalized. Capital L, capital O-R-D, small capitals. And the reason for that is it's not merely the term meaning ruler or master, but it's actually the name of God in the Old Testament. The name of, in English we often say Jehovah. And probably the Hebrew pronunciation is something like Yahweh. No one knows for sure because the ancient Hebrews did not write the vowels down. And also they did not pronounce the name orally over the passage of time. The name of God was so sacred to them, they did not want to take God's name in vain. And so therefore they would not speak it out loud. But whenever they would come to a reading of this verse and others like it, they would substitute the Hebrew word Lord, Adonai. And that's what they would read when they were speaking out loud. And so the King James translators into English did the same thing. They substituted the English word Lord. But to let us know that this is not the normal word Lord, meaning a master or ruler, but this is specifically God's name in Hebrew, they capitalized it. So we could understand this to be saying, Hear, O Israel, Jehovah or Yahweh is our God. Yahweh is one. There's only one Jehovah. There's only one Yahweh. There's only one Lord. There's only one God. Now, this message is the foundation. Because if you'll notice, he said, teach this at every opportunity. Teach it to your children when you get up in the morning, when you walk around during the day, when you sit down, when you go to bed at night. You tell them, there's only one God. He's the only one you shall serve. Give your whole heart to him. Don't serve any other. He's the only one. And so from childhood, the Jews were trained to believe there's only one God. Now, this is a very important passage. He said that you will put it on your forehand and on your forehead. The Jews, the Orthodox Jews, even to this day, when they go to prayer in their homes, they will take a box that has this scripture in it, and they will bind it on their forehead, and they will bind it on their forearm. And that's to remind them that when they pray, they should only pray to the one true God. And then if you go into their store or if you go into their house, you'll find on the gate or on the doorpost of their house a little container, a scroll-shaped container. And inside will be this verse of Scripture. They try to take this literally because they understand that God has made a great emphasis on this. Throughout the Old Testament, you find the emphasis, there's only one God. In the book of Isaiah, over 50 times it speaks of God as the Holy One. Never speaks of God as the Holy Two or the Holy Three, the Holy Four, or the Holy More. But only one, the Holy One.